Good morning, everyone. Oh, it's so wonderful to be here. Our theme today is radical interconnectedness. Is a monthly topic that you're exploring. And today is letting go, a new way of being together. And just to be here, I was actually a little nervous. You know, like I said, it's been like 7 or 8 months since I've been here, and it's so, but I don't have to be nervous because this is where I grew up, and you always get to come back to family. And Teresa, I wish I knew that song. I'm sure someone was telling me about that song when I was younger, and just in that chaos of like, just slow down, Nikki, just slow down. And I want to find out where that song is because I really need to hear that. So anyways, I got a job at Ahaya in Pasadena. This is my church where I am now, and it's an absolutely gorgeous church. The congregation is wonderful, and they accepted me with open arms. But there's something about Granada Hills. There's something special here at this church, and I missed you all a lot. And a few weeks ago, I was driving to give a service talk at Ahaya, and I was really frustrated. And so who do I call? Call Reverend Nancy, because I was having a day, and I knew it was 9 o'clock. I called her because I drive there about 9:30. We have an 11 o'clock service. And I go, I know you're at first service, but you know the truth for me, and I'm about to give a sermon about forgiveness. And I know you know the truth for me. So I know you're doing your talk right now, but you're hearing me somehow. And so I get there, and we do a little meditation before our service, and all of a sudden I feel this tap on the back of my shoulder. And there was Reverend Nancy. Aww. Talk about this is how this woman works. Wow. This is a very special woman right here to show up. So what's my next? Oh, wrong way. I got to remember this. So I did the slide when Reverend Nancy was there at Black History Month, and I thought I'd share it with you all because I was scrolling on Instagram. Does anyone else waste time scrolling on Instagram? And I usually am not even paying attention. I'm just scrolling. But what caught my eye was that building. Does anyone know what that building is? It is? What do you think?
It looks like it's what?
Founders. It's Founders Church. And that's the architect. Paul Revere Williams was the architect of Founders. And for Black History Month, I thought it was really important. I did the sermon the week before, and I did Rosa Parks, and then that week I was going to do Arthur Ashe. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a tennis coach, and so I was going to do Arthur Ashe, but then I saw this also, and so I included it. And he is based in Los Angeles. He went to USC from 1916 to 1919. My grandmother was there at the same time. And so I was thinking, wouldn't that be cool if he actually, they said hi to each other. And he perfected his skills of drawing upside down because people wouldn't sit next to him. So his white clients had to sit across from him. So he had to learn how to sketch upside down. And so there are some interesting things on Instagram. So even if it's this, but I just thought that was really fascinating. And his wife's funeral was at Founders, and so I'm just curious if maybe he was practicing science of mind. You just never really know. You never really know. I also want to honor Ramadan, which starts on Friday. And what I think is so cool about so many of these holidays, it's based around nature. And Ramadan starts after the new moon when they can first see the crescent. So the start day is Friday or Saturday, depending on when they see the crescent moon in the sky. And Ramadan is the holiest month in Islam. I think it's the 9th month of Islam, and they observe fasting from dawn, prayer, reflections, acts of charity. And it's when the revelation of the Quran was presented to the Prophet Muhammad. And it's just such a great reminder that we light candles for all these different religions and ways of being, and there's just so many paths to God, and that's what radical interconnectedness is that there's all these different ways, and let's celebrate them, whether it's Easter, Dwali, what's the other one? Dwali, what's the holly, is the Indian one, the holly one? There's just so many. I like to sit, and when I get a topic that I'm going to speak about, I sit here and I ponder it. And I was pondering about radical interconnectedness and what's going on in our world right now. And I was thinking about, they don't work and they don't put in taxes, so they need to go, or, I work hard for my money, I need it all. I don't know if you've heard this last couple of while. I know I've heard it in my family. And I was thinking about nature, and I was thinking about, does the sun say to the flower, well, you're just sitting there? And do the bees that go and pollinate the flowers go, look how hard I'm working, it's mine, and it's all interconnected. And I know that for myself, when I'm doing service for others, when I'm going into the prisons, I'm not saying, you guys are just behind the bars and look, I'm coming here. I go in there and it gives me an opportunity to serve, to be of service. And for me, that is my biggest growth, is when I go and I do service work. And so I was kind of like thinking of radical interconnectedness. We all have a part to play. However we look, the flowers don't go, you're a red flower, I'm a yellow flower, I'm better than you. The trees don't go, I'm really tall and strong, I'm providing shade. The rivers don't say, I'm flowing and, I'm not going to feed you. It's all really interconnectedness. So to me, it's kind of like a no-brainer of how we're here to really be of service to each other. No matter what we do, whether we're doing music or the AV or sitting in the audience. Because I couldn't give a talk if you weren't here sitting. So it's just really so important to just know that everyone has a certain place in society, no matter what it is. And it's just time to look at nature. That was my pondering, sitting on my patio the other day. So what I went through and to see what your topics were the last few weeks, and so kind of reviewing what I'm supposing you guys have talked about was week 1 of February was knowing that we're not separated, that if the divine is omnipresent everywhere, that means that we are all part of the divine. It's like that big patchwork quilt. We all have a beautiful little patchwork on that quilt. The week 2, the art of happiness, you are enough living in the present. And I know sometimes I get into the chaotic, that song resonates so much with me. I even tattooed "Be Still" on my wrist to remind myself to breathe. And I was thinking that when I get like that frustrated, I go, give me my daily bread. Do I have my daily bread? Do I have enough today? Am I being enough today? Yeah, I can be exactly where I am today. And that is enough. Eckhart Tolle, the most brilliant in-the-moment person, says the secret to peace is not wanting the present moment to be different from what it is. Wow. Sometimes the present moment seems a little icky, right? Yes. But we don't know the big scheme of all this. We really don't. So what is the present moment? What's really happening right now in the present moment? Can I be with what's happening? I don't know. Every now and then I have to take a deep breath. Speaking of Martin and me, I saw it yesterday at our church. We hosted it. And I was in tears. I was crying. It was so moving. And if you have the opportunity tonight to go out to Simi Valley, to see Rambo's church and watch it, I highly, highly recommend it. It was Gerald and Charles were off the hook. It was like 2 snaps up in a Z formation. So just want to it was fantastic. I meant to say that earlier. And tell them you're from CSL. And Nikki, who saw it at a high, I told you to go see it. Yeah, CSL GH, yeah, right. So last week, we were uncovering hidden biases through thoughts, stories, changing the way we relate to the world, and I can participate in its transformation. So just how our thoughts and our stories, we kind of get stuck. I know I do. Sometimes I get stuck in my story of not enoughness. Why am I going through this? And just learning how to release that, letting go of that, because sometimes it's really not the truth. Okay, most of the time it's really not the truth. All the time. Well, sometimes there is truth, Nancy. Sometimes there is. I love this quote from Mahatma Gandhi. Religions are different roads converging upon the same point. What does it matter that we take a different road as long as we reach the same goal? And I remember when I was in ministerial school, we were reading a Sufism book because I had to take a lot of different religious classes. And they were saying how wherever the river pops up on land, that's what religion it is. So if it pops up over here, it's Hinduism. If it pops up over here, it's Muslim. If it pops up over here, it's Christianity. It's all the same river. It's just depending on where it pops up of what we call it. When I teach kids how to keep score, I say 1, 2, 3. And I say, how do you say that in Spanish? 1, 2, 3. And I say, how do you say that in tennis? 15, 30, 40. It's all the same thing. It's the same river. So it doesn't matter what I call it or what you call it, it's all the same. So our weekly topic today is letting go, a new way of being. And as Jenny so beautifully said, is once you just let things go, it all seems to flow together. So a new way of beginning offers us a powerful opportunity to explore the science of mind principles about trust, release, forgiveness, conscious co-creation in relationships and community. So letting go of control, trusting the divine flow. That's number one. How do we let go and just let the divine operate? Well, let me tell you, I had a plan. I joined this church in 2012. I somehow became a practitioner, and somehow I ended up being a ministerial student. Next thing I know, I'm a minister. And my plan was to be a staff minister here for, whenever Reverend Mike retired. I was fine with that. I didn't have big goals. I didn't have big ideas. I really like this. And you know what? Mike will retire 5 to 7 years, maybe 10. I have my tennis business. I'm happy with that. I can just come here on the weekends and teach some classes, run Sangha. I loved it. It was perfect. But the universe said, hold up. We have a different idea for you. But what I didn't realize is that the universe started the idea over 12 years ago when I first joined this church. Because I met Reverend Michael Lattimore at Freedom to Choose Project, where I do my prison work. We became friends. And I told him, hey, I'm becoming a practitioner. And he said, that's fabulous. And gave me some help and stuff when I was challenged with some ideas. And then I said, guess what? I'm becoming a minister. He's like, oh, are you sure you want to do that? It's like drinking from a fire hose. And but I did. Then when I graduated, I had to choose a mentor. And I chose Reverend Scott Olson over at the Hyatt Church. But what I didn't realize is that Reverend Michael Lattimore was the assistant minister there. My friend, how cool. Well, Reverend Scott kept saying to me, come to Hyatt, come be part of our church. I'm like, no, I'm not leaving Granada Hills. I love my family. I'm staying here at Granada Hills. And I must tell you, for 3 years, he kept trying to get me to go to Hyatt. Then he finally said to me, hey, Nikki, I'm retiring. How would you like to be the assistant minister? And I went, ooh, lots of opportunity to grow. And Reverend Mike McMorrow kept saying, yeah, you got to leave home to learn some more, and then you can come back. And I said, oh, I'm not going to leave home. It's safe here. I'm comfortable here. I know how the service works. Well, I took a big leap of faith. And I did, as you all know, I did go to Ahaya. And it is drinking from a fire hose twice over there because it's a whole different animal there. It's a whole different, same principles, same wonderful kind of people, but it's just ginormous. And the first 6 months, I was trying to learn everyone's name and all the protocols and everything, and it was very overwhelming. And then when I left right as Reverend Dr. Mike was going through his health challenges, and the guilt I felt for leaving. How could I leave now? How can I leave my church? It was really hard for me. I really struggled with it. I should be back there. I should be helping. I mean, it's in great hands with Reverend Nancy and Dr. Maureen. I know that. But still, that guilt I was feeling, like I've left my family and they're struggling. And I had to really say, okay, but the universe put me here because it was conspiring with Michael Lattimore, Reverend Michael Lattimore, 12 years ago. So it already had its plan. It wasn't my plan, and I had to just trust the divine flow. So here we are about, I guess since July, you guys do the math. Here we are, and I'm actually very comfortable there now. And I love everything I'm doing there. I still miss you all very deeply, and I'm just so grateful. They said, when do you want, Dr. Maureen said, we need some speakers. When can you come? And I said, in February. And then I said, how about February 23rd? And she said, yeah, that's open. So I chose this day with intention in mind, conscious co-creation. There's a Ernest Holmes quote that says, as we learn to trust the universe, we shall find that we are standing in a new light, a new life. The old will have passed away, and the new will spring forth into being. The road to self-unfulfillment and liberation is through an intelligent perception of the unity of all life and a conscious realization of our direct relationship with the infinite. So I just had to realize that I wasn't in charge. And my plans were different than what the universe had for me. And I know that my family here will always be there for me when I really need them. That little tap on the shoulder will be there. And I've gotten to grow exponentially from that experience. So even though it wasn't what I expected, the universe said, hey, guess what? You get to grow anyway. The second part is letting go of past hurts, embracing healing and wholeness. And those old wounds and the resentments is learning how to heal them within yourself. And a lot of times, people can run away from something, and when they go to that new place, guess what goes with them? You know, and so I have always discovered that I have to go through that hard, dirty, painful work of healing what I need to work on before I move on to the next best for me. Because I don't want to run away from something, I want to run to something. And that's something I've done several times in my life, because I ran away from the tennis courts where I was working to another tennis course, and guess what? It followed me. So I had to come back to that place and heal it. And as Jenny was so beautifully saying in her presiding talk today, is that it's within me. It's me within that I have to heal. And Richard Rohr has this beautiful quote I love. If you have forgiven yourself for being imperfect and falling, you can now do it for just about everybody else. If you have not done it for yourself, I'm afraid you will likely pass on your sadness, absurdity, judgment, and futility to others. Right? I don't know about you, but I've had people tell me, well, you do this, 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 and this. And I was like, here's a mirror, you know? I had a friend of 30 years tell me everything they resented about me. And I just took a deep breath, and I'm sorry you feel that way. And I knew it had nothing to do with me. I still showered them with love, and I knew what a great opportunity. And I was so proud of myself because I knew it wasn't about me. And that's where upset comes in, is when you take it personally. And I knew I didn't have to take it personally because it was their stuff following them. And so it's such a, change your thinking, change your life by shifting our perceptions. What do we say here? Shift and lift to the next best. So it's just kind of, it always gives me pause to be like, oh yeah, it has nothing to do with me. And if I feel like, well, you're doing this, I have to stop and say, At the prison, when we do our prison work, we have something, spot it, you got it. And every now and then, if I get frustrated at someone and I want to lash out, I'm like, okay, spot it, you got it. And so that's a really great reminder for me if I ever get upset. What am I upset about? Is there something within me that is triggering some unhealed wound? Learning to let go of those wounds. So is there something inside of me that is triggering it? Our third one and final is letting go of fear and choosing love. There seems to be a lot of fear talk right now. How can we let go of the not enoughness? I'm afraid I don't have enough. I'm afraid of this. It just seems so prevalent right now, and just surrounding that with love, surrounding that fear talk, and just knowing the love is in the process. And we also talk about revealing to heal. And so lifting up that fear and just surrounding it. I love this earnest quote, "Love casts out fear." When we realize that God is love, that love is all there is, and that love is the great reality, then we begin to understand that fear is false. Fear is false expectations appearing real. Fear is false. Fear is the antithesis of faith. It is the denial of the divine presence, the opposite of love. Love and fear cannot dwell together. Love alone can overcome fear because love is eternal. And fear is a belief that something that contradicts the eternal facts of love. It's a little take a moment, any fear, anything in your life that you feel, just simply surround and embody that with love. So as we live in the flow and we release these outdated patterns, we know they're patterns and we know we can heal them of control, fear, separation, allowing relationships and communities to be built on trust, love, mutual empowerment. Through conscious co-creation, we can move beyond our ego-driven interactions to a space of openness, divine flow, where collaboration, deep listening. Did I hear you say that? Oh, that's not what you said? Oh, what do you mean? Just open our hearts to listen to what people have to say. Spiritual alignment creates more meaningful, harmonious connections. I was thinking about how sometimes I would fight it. And there's those Chinese handcuffs, where you put your fingers in it, and the harder you pull, the tighter it gets. And if you just let go and release, all of a sudden you can pull your fingers out. But if I'm sitting here fighting that, it doesn't let it go, right? So every now and then, if you're in that moment and you're fighting, just breathe. Let the handcuffs go. That's a perfect song. There are no accidents. And just to remind us that the secret to peace is not wanting the present moment to be different from what it is. Just being here and just breathe. Let's just all take a nice deep breath. Just breathe. Oh, affirmations. Let's do some affirmations. I release control and trust the divine wisdom is guiding my relationship in perfect harmony. Ready, everyone? I release control and trust that divine wisdom is guiding my relationships in perfect harmony. I let go of past hurts and embrace love, understanding, connection in all my interactions. I let go of past hurts, embrace love, understanding, connection in all my interactions. I surrender fear and open my heart to a new day of being together, rooted in peace, trust, and joy. Yes. Yeah. I want to do one more slide, Teresa. I forgot about this next slide.
Okay.
Happy birthday, Reverend Nancy. I love you so much, Reverend Nancy. I just want to say that Reverend Nancy has been my rock from the day I walked through the center. So many of you have, and I just can't tell you your intuition and your strength and your guidance for me. And I know I couldn't have done what I've done without you. And I know hundreds and thousands of your children all say the same thing. And adults. The world is a much better place because you're on it. So I just want to say thank you and how much I love you. So let's just take this moment and go into this sacred place, this place of peace. this place of heart connection and just unity and just this conscious co-creation. And knowing that there's this one presence, this one power, one infinite love that moves through all of creation. This divine presence is perfect, whole, and unchanging. It is the essence of peace, wisdom, and unconditional love, expressing in all things, through all beings, and it's within me now. This love is boundless, eternal, and ever available, guiding me in all that I do. I recognize that I'm made in the image and likeness of this divine love. I am a vessel for peace, a channel for grace, and a reflection of the infinite good. Because this love lives within me, I know I am never alone. I'm supported, uplifted, and strengthened in every moment. My heart is open. My soul is resilient, and my spirit is unshakable. In this awareness, I release all burdens of resentment, hurt, and judgment. I surrender any thoughts of separation, limitations, and knowing that they no longer serve me. I free myself from the weight of past wounds, for I choose to stand in the radiant light of divine truth. I see beyond my human mistakes, beyond appearances, into the heart of the divine in all beings. I recognize that just as I'm growing, evolving, and awakening, so is everyone around me. In this realization, knowing that the flow is divine, I flow through naturally and effortlessly through me and from me. I choose to live in the flow, not because I condone past actions, but because I refuse to be bound by them. I reclaim my power. I reclaim my peace. I embrace the freedom that living in the flow brings, knowing that it's not a gift I give another, it's a gift I give myself. With each breath, I release, and with each breath, I rise to a greater awareness of my love. I declare that my heart is strong and courageous. No storm can shake my foundation, for I am anchored in this divine love. I walk forward with confidence, knowing that I'm divinely guided and protected. Every challenge becomes an opportunity for growth, and every present moment is an invitation to live in alignment with truth. I trust the process of life, and I allow grace to lead the way. I give thanks for this healing. I give thanks for the freedom that comes with living in the flow. I give thanks for the ever-present love of Spirit lifting me higher and carrying me forward. I give thanks for my Granada Hills family. I release this word to the law, knowing that it is so and it's already done. And together we say, and so it is.